Say it with bass. All of that. Let's warm in. I wanna be alone on my own island, no stony. Don't care for a bust down like Rolly. If you wanna join my space like Tom, then like Posty, it's an invite only.
Good evening. Episode 2. Say it with bass. We are back. Now, sorry for the delay. If only you knew what just happened. I recorded this whole episode on my laptop, done a madness. So there was at least 20 minutes that didn't record. And I've been having a few technical difficulties. I don't know what's going on. I replaced an old microphone. I've now got my normal recording microphone, which is a lot better quality anyway, so I should have just used that. But the lucky thing is that today, or recently, I've actually written down everything that I wanted to speak about, so it's not that big of a deal. Now, today's episode is actually a very, very important and serious topic. It's about racism. Now, that means a great deal to me because obviously I'm half black, so there's a lot that needs to be said, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions from a lot of people in regards to racism as well, especially recently. Now, I'm not sure if anybody has seen this or as many people have seen this, but recently there was a match between Benfica and Real Madrid, and there's a player who plays for Real Madrid. His name is Vinicius Junior, Vinny Junior. Very good player. Now, I hold my hands up. I don't keep up with football as much as the average man does, but when I do watch the odd clips here and there as a United supporter, don't want to hear nothing about that. I do enjoy watching it when I can be bothered to keep up. I'm going to keep looking at that to make sure it doesn't cut on me this time. But yeah, so when I witnessed a post on X where Vinny Jr. was celebrating a goal, and now again, forgive me if I'm incorrect because I didn't watch the actual match, I just watched the clip, but from what I believe, when Vinny Jr. scored, he was celebrating, and there was a player from Benfica that didn't like the fact that he was celebrating and you know, boasting about the fact that he'd scored, and he put his top over his mouth and said something racist so that the cameras couldn't see what he said. So obviously now, if you're going to say something like that and you're saying it to a black player, obviously people are going to have something to say. People ain't going to be too happy about that. So there was Mbappe that had something to say, and obviously Vinny had something to say as well, to the point where the referee did the little X-Pac hand gestures, which is supposed to signify that, you know, you're stopping the game to investigate what's gone on, basically. Now, to my knowledge, I believe that after that happened, the game continued, and it just makes me think that we as black people are never taken seriously, because if there was anything else, like, I don't know, like something to do with disability or something to do with somebody's sex, it's taken all the way up there. People can get tarnished and blacklisted for saying such things. But when it comes down to race, I feel like it's always just kind of shrugged off, like, maybe they didn't know. Maybe they didn't know it was racist. Oh, I'm sure it was an accident. He won't say it again. She won't say it again. It's fine. Now, that's not in every instance, because thankfully there's been improvements. We've seen certain things said on TikTok lives and people getting published saying certain things and then finding out from social media that that person's manager has put out a statement to say that that person's now been terminated from their role. But do I think that that is because of the remark that was said, or is it because we found out? I feel like it's because we found out about it. I feel like if it wasn't something that a lot of black people or people of colour saw, which could then tarnish the brand of the business itself, it wouldn't be such a big deal at all. And it even goes as far to say, with the BAFTAs recently, and Michael B. Jordan and I can't remember the other guy's name, they were on stage, and there was a guy who has Tourette syndrome, and he said the N-word loudly in the crowd. Now, we're not stupid here. Like Clue says, what are we doing here? We know that when something is published on TV, there's at least a 10-second delay, so that if there's any extremities or if there's anything that happens out of the blue that needs to be edited before we see it on TV, they can make that adjustment. They can do those little tweaks behind the scenes. So why is it that if the CUNT word was said, that can be blocked? If there needs to be an edit, because let's say if someone ran on the stage or something like that, I'm sure they would probably amend that. But when it comes down to someone with Tourette syndrome saying the N-word, that's kept in for it to be broadcasted for everyone to hear. It doesn't really make much sense to me. It always seems to be a coincidence. There was something that I saw where there was I don't remember what award show it was, but basically the wrong nominee was called out, or the person that won, actually, there was, the nominees were read out, but the person who won the award, it was the wrong person, and the person that was meant to win the award happened to be, I think it was a black director or something. Again, I can't remember what film it was now, but there always seems to be these little mistakes that are made that always seems to be when it's something to do with black people, and I don't like it. And I think that a lot more needs to be done, and this needs to stop. Now, just off that for a second, I am recording. The walls are thin. I got a window there. You may hear sirens. That's what happens when you live in South London. So we just thought I'd put that out there. But even going back to the racist remarks that were said to Vinny Jr. Now, Jose Mourinho did not defend him. I'm just going to go back to that. Yeah. In the interview afterwards, he basically was just trying to say that, you know, it's not word for word verbatim, but it's to be expected because of the way in which he was cheering after scoring the goal, that such remarks could be said to him. It's been going on for many years to many footballers, where they've had to basically suck it up, pause, but they've had to like hold that in and just act like it doesn't happen and accept that these things happen. And the way in which they can answer to all of those remarks that are said about black people is by playing good on the pitch. But what about their mental health? What about every time they're on the pitch and they hear monkey noises, or every time they, I don't know, are in another country and surrounded by racist people, let alone the footballers on the pitch, every time that's going to affect their gameplay, that's going to affect their day-to-day lives. It's not something that as a black man I can say that I would find easy to get over. I wouldn't be able to get over it. It would bother me and it would ruin my whole day, let alone my whole week, knowing that somebody has got to speak to me in a certain way and I'm meant to just take it. So Jose Mourinho, very disappointed from him, just to say that. We even had, in the 2024 Euros, there were, so I read up on this, there were 7 countries that were sanctioned. 7 countries that were sanctioned due to racist remarks. We had Euro 2020s as well, where Rashford, Saka and Jadon Sancho had received racist remarks from English supporters, and it was because they didn't play well in certain matches. Now, it's all well and good if you're not happy with the way players play, but what does play in a match have to do with the colour of your skin? I don't remember David Beckham receiving racist remarks from anybody saying, oh yeah, gosh, David Beckham, you made us lose because you're white. No, don't get me wrong, he received a whole heap of backlash, but it had nothing to do with his race. But when it comes to us, it's to do with our race. Or not that it's to do with our race, but our race gets brought up. Oh, you stupid black this. Oh, you N-word that. Every name under the sun. It's like you would have thought that coming from the 60s or whatever it was, when you had the likes of Rosa Parks and Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, everything that they fought for, just for, 60 plus years later, is it 60? My maths is incorrect. It's like, yeah, 60 years later, we're still in the same situation where we're making small steps, I'd say, every decade, but it's not enough. Please, when are we going to be taken more seriously? When are we going to be taken more seriously? I've had enough. I've really had enough. I'm not going to lie to you. It's annoying. And the day that I found out about Vinny Jr. receiving all that noise in the crowd, doing monkey noises, and the player that said whatever he said under his breath, it actually really pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie to you. Even with social media, I've received a few things from when I was on TikTok live, and I remember I just had my face in the screen and I was just like, I don't know what I was talking about. I must have been talking about music or just talking about my day, and somebody came in the comments and said dirty black or something like that. I can't remember the exact words, but I just remember seeing it, and you kind of just learn to have thick skin for stuff like that, and you kind of just brush it off as like, yeah, suck your mum. Yeah, okay, yeah, suck your mum. Yeah. Well, she don't mind that, the colour of my skin. You know what I'm saying? But as much as we try and laugh it off, deep down it's frustrating. It's annoying. Because I say us black people don't have any problems with any other race. If anything, the reason why it's become how it is now, where black people have a problem with white people, is because, I would say, because of historical factors of the fact that you have a problem with us. So now we just see it as, again, I'm not speaking from me personally, I'm speaking from more a generalized perspective, but obviously we're going to be thinking, especially when we get asked certain questions, or having our hair touched in a certain way, like, oh, let me feel your hair, ha ha ha, or, oh, why can I, how come we can't say the N-word? What is it about the N-word? Why is it that you guys can say? Sorry? Are you alright? Is everything okay there? Is everything okay back home? Get your head in the flipping game, please. What are you really asking here? Can you say it? You want permission to say it? Shut up. Anyway, I'm going to get back to that in a second. But TikTok Live is just one of those ones where people have the little egg account, following one person or have no followers at all, with a blank screen, saying the most, throwing the most abuse that they know that they can get away with because their face is not on the screen. Things like that just grind my gears. And that really does actually, speaking of that, it leads me to institutionalize racism, because we see it in the workplace. I've felt it in a workplace where I'm looked at or spoken to in a way like you have a problem with me because of the colour of my skin, or the way in which I walk, or my culture being different to yours. If anything, it makes me, over the years, I'd say it's made me want to embrace my culture even more in a workplace, because of the fact that you expect me to not be how I am. I'm not putting it on. How I am is how I am. What you see is what you get. So when I'm in the workplace, when I'm speaking to customers, or again, I'm not talking about my actual job now, I'm talking generally from past jobs as well. Like, if anything, when it comes to me, when I'm speaking to friends or colleagues and walking around the office, I'm unapologetically me. I say it with bass, unapologetically me. Unapologetically me. But when I'm on the phones, or I've ever spoken to customers when I worked in retail, I can code switch. And that's the thing that a lot of people can't do, and that's actually why sometimes I feel like there's a bit of jealousy and a bit of like frustration, because we're able to switch it up, be one way and then be another way. They can't do that. A lot of them can't do that anyway, especially if you come from the higher class background. All you know is one way, so you're ignorant, and there's no excuse for ignorance. If you're ignorant, learn. Don't think just because you're ignorant you can be racist and you can say racist remarks with chest. It's not the one. Now this leads me to, and again, I've got a friend that works for the police, so this doesn't go for everybody, but police officers, like, come on. I was at a set the other day, and when we all left, obviously there's, apart from one person, it was all black people. Now, when we were outside for probably about 1 minute, I'd say about 2 minutes before the undercover car came over, and we were asked, "Are you right, lads? What are you guys up to then?" So firstly, why don't you try and work out what facilities are inside the building that we just came from, which you would have seen us come out of, before you ask questions, because we weren't just dilly-dallying on the street talking or making noise. We just came outside. So how about you do your research, find out, maybe they could have come from the radio station. Now, yes, they said, "Oh, what are you guys up to?" But the faces and the body language was very much like, "Oh, you're right. You look like you lot look like you're up to no good. So what's happening here then?" Why? Because if we were white, you wouldn't do that. If we were white, you would not be coming up to us saying, "Oh, what are we doing here then?" You would probably just think, "Oh, it's just a bunch of lads who've just come out of whatever they were doing. They're probably just going to head out to the pub and have some laughs and have some cigarettes and just talk shit and have banter." But because you saw us, you thought maybe they're probably dealing drugs. Maybe they're, a gang unit, and they're going to go and find their opposition and create, some sort of situation with an opposition or something. Now, with regards to security in shops, you lot are the worst. Do you know why you lot are the worst? Because you lot try and act like you don't see us. You lot will come in there, and sometimes it be your own people. This is the craziest thing, it be your own people. It'll be uncles. Not all the time, but sometimes it be your own people. They come in there, uncles, walking around like, but they're like this close to you. Brother, what are you on? We know that you're trying to see if I'm going to do something. How about you look at Stacey over there, who's got a big empty wheelie bag with nothing in it, that wants to put a whole heap of shit in there. How about you look at her? But you're not going to look at her. You're going to look at me, the working man. And it doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen all the time, with all due respect, but it's happened. Things need to change. When will it stop? When are things going to change? When are we going to be taken seriously? When are we not going to be treated like shit under the shoe? When are we going to be equals? I don't think we ever will be. I don't think anybody of colour will be ever seen as equals. I just don't. But I would say there's a lot of the good thing that I will say is that even in my work there are like opportunities that are to highlight inclusivity and stuff like that. and you know, that's a positive, and there's a lot of positives that have come from years of absolute turmoil and negativity that's come our way as a people. But you know, still in 2026 it's not enough. A lot more needs to happen. I guess a lot of us need to come together. I think that us as black people, we don't seem to join forces enough and speak out together. I feel like we need to do a lot more. It shouldn't have to just be, you know, Black Lives Matter or George Floyd situations for when we all come together and make a stand and have a voice. I think that this needs to happen more often. Yeah, crazy. Now, I just want to finalize. There was something I was going to go back to, but I've forgotten now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finalize and just say one thing. I'm mixed race. I'm half black. St. Lucian grandparents from my dad's side, and my dad was born in French Guiana. My mother was born in Northern Ireland. She is half Irish and half Indian. She also had to deal with racism as well. So both my parents have had to deal with this over the years. My granddad was fully Indian and my grandma fully white. Now I say that because, please, if you don't know what my race is, all you have to do is ask. And if I then answer you and tell you what my race is, don't then say to me, you don't look mixed race, you're just black. Now yes, in hindsight I am a black man. That's how we're always perceived and how we're seen. If you're half black, you're black. If you're more black than white, you're black. But if I'm just keeping it real, I'm half black and I'm 2/4. So I'm mixed races. So I'm mixed. Just because I don't look it, please don't just assume that, by saying, you don't look mixed race though, it's not offensive, because it is. It doesn't mean that I'm trying to be mixed race. I am mixed race. I'm just darker than the average mixed race person because I'm not a typical mixed race person that's half black and half white. It's a bit similar to like when people have said, but your mum's white because she looks white. I've heard that before. My mum does not look white. She's mixed. She's half Indian and half Irish with jet black hair, and she's got a slight olive complexion. Well, more than a slight olive complexion. You can see that she's not, her skin has some tone in it, so she's not white. So please guys, please don't be ignorant in this day and age. Please think before you speak. Please don't just assume that, you can just say whatever you want and it's not gonna lead to potential consequences. And this goes for everyone. This goes further than just talking about my race. It's just in general. Please, let's just think before we speak. Let's use our brains. If we think that a question that we ask is gonna lead to an argument or lead to an offense, cause an offense, then just think to yourself, is that something that I should be saying? Maybe I shouldn't, but if I'm going to say it, let me try and ask it in a way that doesn't cause offense. It's very simple. And what I do appreciate and what I will finalize with is, if you are a white person that wants to ask something about, why is it that black people can say the N-word and white people can't? In fact, I will touch up on that before I finish. Black people really shouldn't say it either. Let's just be real, because the word was used to ridicule a black person and to basically, it was name calling towards a black person and to make us look like we are just bottom of the barrel. We're just nothing. It's obviously a word that I would say derives probably from like the word negro, which means black in Spanish, which has then been remixed into a word which is meant to be said towards us as the N-word, or there's other words as well, but we won't go into that. But can't remember what it's called now. The black people, they got the big eyes. Gollywogs. there was, not saying that we get called that now, but you know, back in the day, around my dad's time, there were things like that. You had the National Front and all sorts. So black people shouldn't be saying it. So, but the difference is, the reason why black people say it to each other is because it's meant to be a sense of empowerment, that okay, us black people are coming together. You're my N-word. Yeah, what's up, my N-word? You're my peoples. You put the A at the end to make it like this is for us. We are equals. This is what these racist people call us. So yeah, this is what we are. You're my N-word. Yeah, big ups, my bro. Unfortunately, sorry, white people, as much as, especially if you feel like you want to act, even though like it's an argument that there's such thing as acting black, but you know, there are some people out there who you can tell that they've hung out with only black people. So there's some that don't act like they're just naturally part of the group. I have many friends like that, but there are some that you can just tell that you can see that they're trying too hard, and you can't say it, bro. You know what I'm saying? You can't say it. So to the ones out there who aren't trying to say such words, but they want to ask, why can we not say it? Because you can't. Because it's your people that created the word in the first place to essentially ridicule us as black people when we were, you know, we had slave owners and all sorts of effery. I'm really trying my hardest not to swear on this podcast. All sorts of effery. Yeah? So, I could be here all day. I've said my piece. Think before you speak. Follow me on all of my platforms, on X, on Instagram, on YouTube. Like and subscribe, and all the info is below. So thank you for joining. We got there in the end. As I said, I keep looking over to make sure that it's still recording. It seems to be working fine. So we are done. I look forward to seeing you lot on the flip side. Myself, Jawdz, Mr. All of That. Say It With Bass, the podcast. Love.